Match your words with your actions. I need more than satisfaction. Did you really feel that action? Really?
Mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check.
I wanna all night. Say it. I wanna all night. I wanna all night. Say it.
Since we last kicked, and by the way, just got in town, and I won't let you miss.
Between my second dress and my third dress, which do you prefer? Let me know in the comment section. Okay, this is the second dress I made, and this is the third dress that we're about to sew on this particular video. So which do you like better? I'm going to give you guys my honest opinion. I like the fit on this. I like the fit that this gives me a good fit that you cannot deny is also good. But you guys are going to see the picture. You're going to see the picture that this particular dress, the fit it gives me. A lot of you will be asking the name of this fabric. This is lycra, but this particular lycra is too visible, like it's too light, it's see-through. Okay, so I took a lot of awesome pictures with this particular dress, but I can't post them because you guys know, if you know me on this channel, you know that nothing concerns me and bra. I don't wear bra. I have small breasts, so there is no need. I don't see any need to have bra. So I didn't even have options to, in case I even said, okay, let me just wear it and actually like get a picture that I can post. I didn't have any. If you're the kind of person that don't wear any bra inners in general, don't get this kind of lycra. Okay, I'll advise you to get a stretchy fabric, but get a lycra that is not this. This is so light, see-through. But apart from that, let's move into today's video. I promised you guys on my part 2 when I was doing this one that I was going to show you guys how to calculate the stretch on this particular fabric, because this is a really stretchy fabric. And while we are going to be sewing, I'm going to tell you guys how many inches I have to sew in, because it stretches a lot. Okay, so I'm going to be doing the 2 method of how to calculate the stretch on your fabric. The 2 method is going to be quick and fast. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and calculate it fast. I'm not going to really explain, because I took my time to explain on the part 1 and on the part 2. So if you want to really understand how to calculate the stretch on your fabric, go watch the first dress, this dress, and then watch this one. Okay, yeah, so that's being said, what else do I need to tell you guys? We're going to adjust the pattern from the, you know, the last pattern we adjusted was to get this flay on this particular dress. So we're going to be adjusting it now to get like a straight cut for this particular dress. Now bear it in mind that the straight cut on the first dress is different from the straight cut on this dress. That other dress will have to take in something, but on this dress, what you have on the hip, the measurement you have on the hip is what you're going to have on the base of the dress. Okay, so that's just the adjustment, hip measurement on the length. And yeah, so let's just go ahead and do it. If you're seeing my face for the first time, I was just carried away, but yeah, girl, let me introduce myself. My name is Vivian, and yeah, this is my channel. If you like my face, or if you think you're going to like my video, or you watch it at last and you like the video, why do I sound like someone that doesn't have confidence? I know you're going to like my video, so stick around. Don't forget to subscribe, click on the notification so you could get notification whenever I upload a video, so you don't miss it. Okay, girl, you don't want to miss it. Be on time. Click the notification so you get notified. Like this video. You guys don't like videos. I thought it was just me, like you guys were not liking my videos, but I realized everybody. You will see good fashion designers with great videos, and you'll be seeing the likes and you'll be like, what is happening? 10,000 people watch your video, only 500 people like the video. Like, what happened to the rest 9,500 people? Are you people, what is happening? So I realized that it's not just me. You guys are stingy with your likes. Like this video, like the video. Okay, that's if you watch it and you like it, and yes, let's get into it. We're going to be calculating the stretch on this particular fabric, and we're going to be using the 2 method quickly. Okay, so I'm going to be applying the 2 method to compare and see if I get the same result when I stretch this fabric to the maximum. Okay, to the maximum like this. Now you guys, remember I said in the first method video and the second method video that you should know the actual length of your fabric, how it came. This is the actual length of mine, and then you should know the actual width. Okay, so this is the actual width of my fabric, like this, and this is the actual length. And I told you guys about this. This is how you confirm the length and the width of your fabric. Okay, this is the length. This thing here will let you know where your length sits. Okay, let me measure the length of my fabric. The actual length of my fabric is 6 inches, and the actual width of my fabric here on this sewing table is 5 inches. Okay, so the width is 5 inches, the length is 6 inches, and I'm going to be using the first method now to calculate the stretch on my fabric, and I am going to be, showing you guys how to do that, and then we'll move on to the second method quickly. Okay, now to measure the stretch on my fabric length, I am going to bring my tape like this. So I'll place the beginning of my fabric, that's from the length. This I'm calculating for the length. Okay, this is the length. This thing here indicates my length, so I'm going to place this part of the length here on my tape, and I'll hold it firm. Okay, I'm not going to let go. And from this other side, I'm going to stretch this fabric to the maximum and see where it stops on the tape. Now remember that the first method process is, if your fabric increases by 1 inch, that is a 20% stretch on your fabric. If it increases by 2 inch, that is a 40% stretch on your fabric. If it increases by 3 inches, that is a 60% stretch, like that. So you remember, right? So that is what we're going to do. We're going to find how many inches is added to our fabric after we stretch to the maximum. So I'm going to hold on to this part here and stretch. So stretching to the maximum, this particular fabric here is increasing to 12. Okay, my length is 6. The actual length of my fabric here is 6, and me placing it on 1 here, holding this side on the 1 on the edge of the tape, and then stretching this other side to the maximum, it is stopping at 12. Okay, and the length actually is 6, so 6 stretches out to 12. That means the added inches to my fabric is 6 inches. 6 is the actual length, and it stretches out to 6 inches. Like, this fabric stretches twice of itself. So let's calculate how many inches is added to the stretch. Let's not conclude. Okay, let me show you guys what I mean. So I stretched it out, and 6 inches fabric became, the added inches to it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 6 means we're getting 120% stretch on my fabric. I don't know if you guys get 120% stretch on this fabric, and that is the first method. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing for the width. I'll place, this is my width here, my width is 5 inches. I'm going to stretch it out and see what it adds to. Okay, so my edge of the tape here, I'll stretch the fabric to its maximum, and my 5 inches stretch of fabric is stretching out to 7. So that's the width stretches out to 7, and the normal width is 5. So how many inches was added? 1, 2. So 2 inches added to my width means a 40% stretch. Okay, so the length of my fabric stretches out to 120%, and the width of my fabric stretches out to 40%. So if I'm saying, and I want this fabric or this particular dress to be really tight and fitted, I'm going to cut the actual length of my fabric as the width, so that I can get that stretch I want. Okay, so when I sew into my measurement on the fabric, it will stretch out to my own fit, to fit me well without no zip. It's just going to go through my head and get to every part of my body. Okay, that is the first method. Now the second method is very simple. We're going to be using a ruler for this, and I'm going to use the inch side to calculate. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to calculate the length of the stretch on my fabric using the second method, and to do that I'm going to place this part of the length here, this edge here, to the edge of my tape, and I'll stretch it out, okay, to the maximum. Okay, and it stretches out to 12. Okay, so I'm stretching it out to the maximum. Like you can see how I'm putting my hand, like I'm using all my muscles right now. So it stretches out to 12 inches. And how do we calculate again? So I'm just going to say 12 divided by 6. I get 2. Remember, we always minus 1 after we divide. Okay, so I'm going to say minus 1. I get 1. Now to get my percentage, I just have to say 1 times 100. And the stretch on my fabric is 100% on the length, right? 100% is the stretch I have on my length of the fabric. I'm going to do the same for the width. I'm going to place the edge of the width on the edge of my ruler here, and I'll stretch to the maximum. So stretching to the maximum, I'm getting 7. 7 is the stretched number of my fabric. Normal width of my fabric was 5 inches. So what I'm going to say is 7 inches divided by 5, which is the normal, or let me not even use the word normal, actual width of my fabric before I stretched it to get 7. So I'm going to say 7 divided by 5, I get 1.4. I'm going to say 1.4 minus 1. We always minus 1, remember, right? I get 0.4. So what I'm going to do to get my percentage is say 0.4 times 100, and the stretch on my width of this fabric second method is 40%. You can see that it aligns with the first method, okay, right? Anyways, this is how to calculate the stretch on your fabric, the first method and the second method. Now the first method, remember, we got 120%, which is approximately, to me, I feel like it's 100% stretch. There's nothing like, I don't know if there's anything like 120% stretch, but then what was added to my fabric stretch was like double of itself. Like I had 6 inches of fabric and it stretches out to 12 inches. Okay, so each 1 inch represents 20 inches, 2 inches represent 43. So anyways, it tallies, like, right now I know that if I'm going to sew, I'm definitely going to use the actual length of my fabric to cut on my width, like on the width of my pattern, so that I can get that stretch that I want. But I hope you guys really understand how to calculate the stretch on your fabric. This is all I know about calculating the stretch on fabrics, and I hope that since we've done first method, second method, and now we are practicing the first and second method on the third video, I hope you're able to understand how to do this on your own. So yeah, let me know in the comment section, and also like this video. Let's move on to adjusting the pattern. Next thing I am going to be doing is I will adjust the pattern to get the straight cut that I want on my dress. Okay, on the third dress I want it to be straight cut, and for that I have to adjust my pattern paper. Okay, so make sure you have your pattern paper. The first video I uploaded in making this dress is the pattern drafting, okay, and that is where you will get this particular pattern. Anyways, what I'm going to do is adjust the length, because the length is the only place that I need adjusting. Okay, once I adjust the length and connect that to the 6 inches where we started creating the flea from, the A-line, we're good. Okay, so what I have on my hip measurement, the 10.5 inches that I have on my hip measurement, is what I'm going to be marking on the length. Okay, there on the length I'll be marking 10.5, and that was the measurement I marked on my hip. I divided my round hip by 4 and I marked that measurement on the hip, and that is what I'm marking here on the length, and that is the only adjustment that we need to do. So what I'll do now is use my long ruler to connect that 6 inches where we started creating the flea from on the second dress. Yeah, so that 6 inches, I'm going to be eliminating that by taking a straight line from the length to that point. And here we have it. This is the pattern we're going to be using for the third dress. Very easy. Okay, see, you just see the adjustment I did in less than 2 minutes. This pattern was already adjusted, or is already adjusted, and now we can place the pattern on the fabric and cut. Okay, so see how easy it was. So please make sure that you have done the same thing on your back pattern. Okay, repeat this step on the back pattern, mark your hip measurements on your length, and you're good. Okay, on my cutting table here, I have my back pattern here and I have my front pattern. And let me show you guys what I mean by repeat this step, because I want you to know that your front and your back has to align in all form. Okay, in all parts, the base, the side, the center front, the everything has to align minus the neckline and the armhole. Okay, so you can see that it aligns. Let's go into the next thing. So next, I will be cutting my pattern on the fabric, and here I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into two. Let me show you. So it is folded into two here, and I place the center front and the center back on the edge of the fold. Okay, see the edge here, close edge. That is where I place my center back and my center front. And now I'm gonna cut. I'll go ahead and cut, and we're going to move into joining the front and the back piece together. Okay, so make sure you fold into two and place your pattern. So the next thing we obviously have to do is join the front piece and the back piece together. So this is my back. I indicated the wrong side of my fabric with my chalk. It's very important you do that, because most of the fabrics you get these days looks the same on the front and the back, and to be able to know where to sew on, you need to mark the wrong side with your chalk or something. Just indicate it so that when you're sewing, you know that you're sewing on the wrong side of the fabric, and when you're done and you're wearing your outfit, you know that the right side is what people get to see. Okay, so on the shoulder, I am sewing by 1/2 inch. Because I calculated the stretch on this fabric and I realized that the part that I use in cutting the width, which is my length, the actual length of the fabric, that's what I use to cut the width of my pattern. I'll go ahead and sew in close to 2 inches on my fabric. Okay, close to 1.5 or 2 inches on the side, and that's what I'm sewing right now. Okay, so I'll go in by 1.5 or 2 inches, because this fabric really stretches. Okay, it is like 100% stretch fabric, so I need this to glue to my body. Remember, there is no zip, there is nothing. Okay, we're going to be fitting this without a zip. Okay, so I am sewing this so tight, like I want it to be really tight, and I'm taking 2 inches from each side. The left side I take 2 inches, the right side I take 2 inches, and when I wear this, oh more now body con dress. So okay, so now we're gonna move on to creating the sleeves. Is to measure the measurements I have here. Okay, to find out the measurements I have on my armhole here. Okay, so I'm going to place my tape like this, and I'll follow the curve of my armhole, and I'll measure whatever I have there, and that I will use to cut out my sleeve. So what I'm seeing here is 7 1/2 and 1/4, and that is the measurement I have on my armhole. Okay, so 7 1/2 and 1/4, same thing will be here, of course. Exactly, let me see. Yeah, exactly 7 1/2 and 1/4. This is the pattern paper I'll be working with for my sleeves. And okay, this pattern here is 24. I'm going to be making the sleeves 25 inches long, but this is 24. So when I'm cutting on the fabric, I'm going to increase the length. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'm going to be working with my pattern like this, and one side is going to be for the back and one side is going to be for the front. Okay, and I am going to try as much as possible to explain myself very well in drafting out the sleeves, but still I am going to still make a video of a detailed pattern for sleeves. Okay, I'm going to explain how to measure for your sleeves, how to calculate your biceps, your cap height. But on this video, it's going to be a little bit detailed, but not as detailed as the video that I'm going to concentrate on just the sleeves. Okay, so let's not talk about that. Let me find out what I have here on my pattern paper. It has to be more than 17 or 18 because if you plus 7.5 inch plus 7.5 inch, if you plus it or you times it by 2, if you say 7.5 inch times 2, you're going to be getting like 15.5 inches. Okay, so I'll make sure that this pattern here is going to be more than 15.5 inch. I'll make sure it's up to 17 or 18. Okay, I don't know if you understand. You know, we measured on my armhole on the outfit on the dress and I got 7.75 inch, right? Now if you times that particular number by 2, you're going to be getting somewhere around 15 point something inches, 15.5 inches. And why did we times by 2? Because where I measured was just one side of the armhole, which is the front. And when you times it by 2, that means you're measuring for the front and back, okay? And you're going to get 15, okay? I hope you understand. Anyways, I have enough here. So what I'll do is I'll mark down 1 inch as my starting line. So marking down 1 inch on my pattern paper as my starting line, so I have accurate measurements and when I am marking. Okay, so this is going to be very beginner friendly, but the video that is going to be dedicated on the sleeve is going to be more beginner friendly because I'm going to really talk about everything that we need to do. Okay, so I'm just going to say, okay, before I separate them, I'm going to find the middle point on this starting line. Okay, this is my starting line. I'm going to mark the middle point on the starting line so I can separate for the front and back. So my pattern paper here is 18 inches. I'll fold into 2 to get the middle point on my pattern paper. And here is the middle line. Okay, so I'll do the same thing on the length. I'm going to, from this starting line here, I'm going to go down and mark the length. So I'll be marking 23 inches, but remember I said 25, but my pattern paper is not that long, so I'm going to be working with 23. So this is the length of my sleeves on the pattern. When I get to the fabric, I'll still add. Okay, right now on the length also I'm going to mark the middle line so I can connect this point to the middle line here too, so we know the middle part of our pattern paper. So I'm going to, this is 18, I'll divide into 2 to get the middle line of my pattern, and to do that I just fold my tape into 2, and here is the middle line of my pattern paper. I'll connect. So here is for my front sleeves, here is for my back. I hope you understand now from seeing everything I just did. So now that I have this is my starting line and this here is my length, I am going to first of all mark the cap height, and I explained on one of my live video what a cap height is, and I hope you've seen that live. And if you have not seen the live video, one of my live sections, just go on my channel page, go to my live, and then watch the video or the live section where I created a top. I made a very detailed sleeve pattern there. Okay, so just go watch and you understand what I mean. But then a cap height is from the top of your shoulder to the point where your bicep is located, okay, where you want to use as your bicep. Now I'm not going to go into that, I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to tell you that from my starting line here, this point, the middle line, I'm going to come down by 4 inches. And why I'm using 4 inches as my cap height is the fact that I want this particular sleeve to be I want to be able to have movement on the sleeve. Okay, I want to be able to raise my hand, I want to be able to be like, I want to be able to move my hand in my outfit. Okay, so that is why I'm using 4 inches as my cap height. Okay, so here is the cap height, and like I said, I used 4 inches because I want to be able to have movement on my cap height. Okay, like I want to be able to have movement on my sleeves attached to my armhole, and that's why I'm using 4 inches. Now if you are creating something like a suit, and of course you know this video is for a dress, but in case you are still trying to wonder how do you draft a sleeve pattern for a suit like a jacket, you use like 5, 7 or 6 inches as your cap height to draft out your sleeves for your jacket. Okay, to have that proper structure sleeves that does not really have movement, you use 5, 6, 7, okay, as your cap height. But when you're making something like this, I don't know, I preferably want to use just 4 inches, or you can use 3 inches, okay, but I'm going to be using 4 inches, and yeah, that's it. So here is my cap height. Now on the cap height here, I'm going to be marking the measurement I got from my top. Okay, the measurement I got from my dress, the armhole, I measured and I got 7.5 inches, no, 7.75 inches. So I'm going to be marking that 7.75 inches to the left and to the right. Okay, that is acting as my bicep measurement. Okay, so I'm marking 7.75 inches from the middle line here, this middle line we have, I'll mark to the left and to the right. .75 inches, and also to this side, to the front, 7.75 inches. And I'm making sure this is on the straight line. Okay, so 7.75 inches this way, and to the back side 7.75 inches. I'll use my ruler to create a line. Now make sure that this line is straight. Okay, make sure if there's something you need to do to make sure that you get a straight line, make sure you do that, because it's very necessary that the line remains straight. Okay, so I mark 7.75 inches and also 7.75 inches. Okay, as this point and this point, and this is my bicep. Okay, the width of the cap height, like where the cap height stops, the width, I'm using 7.75 inches here, 7.75 inches here, total 15 point something inches. But this is my biceps measurement. Now I'm going to come down, I'm going to place my tape from this starting line here, and I'm going to come down and mark my elbow measurement, and my elbow measurement is 12. Okay, from my shoulder down is 12 inches. So this is my elbow line here, so I'm going to label it as the elbow. So on my elbow line, I'm going to be finding out what I have on my round elbow. Okay, and what I have on my round elbow is 13 inches. So 13 inches divided by 2 gives you 6.5. So I'm going to mark 6.5 to this point, 6.5 to this point. Okay, you get what we're doing right now, but we are distributing the measurements to the back side and to the front side of our armhole of our hand, of the hand. Okay, so I marked 6.5 inches this way, and I'm going to be marking 6.5 inches this way, making sure that it sits on a straight line. So I'm going to create a line. Consider my line is straight. Make sure that your own line too is straight. Okay, very necessary. A straight line will give you like an accurate. Okay, so here is my elbow, and I mark 6.5 inches to the front and 6.5 inches to the left. So what I'll do now is connect from here, this measurement here, I'll connect from here to this point. And then I'll do the same thing on this side, on the back. Connect. Okay. Now I'm going to come to my length, which is my round wrist. Okay. My round wrist. Okay, this is the wrist. This is where my sleeve is going to be sitting. My round wrist is 9 inches. My round wrist is 9 inches. I'm going to be using 8.5. Okay, so I'm going to be marking 4.02 this way, 4.02, because I'm using 8.5 inches as my round wrist. So divided into 2 gives me 4.2. I'll mark it to the left and to the right. And then I'll connect. Okay. So what I have here is 4.25 and here to 4.25, and this is the front and this is the back. So like we are done with the wrists. This is here is the wrists. We're done with the wrist, we're done with the elbow, and now let's work on the actual sleeve pattern. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to connect from this point to this point here, and then from this point to this point, and we'll move into the next stage. Okay, so I'm going to create a triangle like this, and another triangle this way. Okay, so you see what I have all coming together, right? So what I'll do now is I'm going to be dividing this particular spot to this spot. I'm going to be dividing that measurement by 4, but before I do that, I'm going to first divide it by 2 and then divide each of the other halves by 2 again to get 4 points. So do you understand, or should I explain again? I think we should just do it so you understand. Okay, let me still use my black marker. So to get 4 points on this first triangle here, the front, I'm going to place my tape from this point here, this side here, to this point where I have here. Okay, I have 9. I'm going to divide that 9 by 4. But first of all, I'll divide it by 2 by folding my tape into 2 like this. So this is into 2. I'll divide these halves into 2 equal parts. Okay, 4.5 divided by 2 equal parts. So I'll mark here and then also 2 equal parts. Okay, here. And now I have divided this by 4. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. You get? So now that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, what I'll be doing is from this spot here, on this one here close to the middle line of the starting point, I'm going to be coming out here by 0.75 on my tape. Okay, so I'll mark 0.75 out from that line here. Okay, and then on this spot here, on this one here, I'm going to be coming in by 0.5. Okay, I'll come in here by 0.5. So this is 0.5 down and this is 0.75 up. Okay, so 0.5 here, 0.75. Okay, so do you understand what I did? So now that I have this, I'm going to use a dot method to create a curve here, and then when I create the curve, I'm going to take the curve, come through this place and go through this down here and connect it to this point. Watch. So the curve is going to go like this. So make sure you just, so you can see that I'm using a dotted method first before I go ahead and connect with a clean line. So this is what we literally need to do, okay? So now that I have my dots, I'm just going to connect. So I see the result of what I have done. So this is how to create your proper sleeve pattern. If you have been watching my channel, you notice that I always do the easy sleeve pattern, but today, okay, so this is the proper sleeve pattern for the front. So here is the front, and I'm just going to give it one arc here. This is for my front. And now let's work on the back. I'm still going to do the same thing. Place my tape from here to this point and find out what I have. So divide it by halves and then divide the halves by halves again. So tape here to this point, 9. I'll fold into 2 to get the first middle point, which is here. Now from here to here, I'm going to divide again. So from here to here, I'm going to divide into 2. So I have this here, okay, and then from here to here, I'll divide also into 2, 1.5. Just the same thing we did in the front, okay? So I have my half here. Now, the difference between the front and the back is that this one here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, right? I'm going to divide this particular one from here to here into halves again. That's just the difference. So I'm just going to divide here into halves again. And this is it. Okay. So what we did here, we marked 0.75 outwards from the top, the first half. I'm going to do the same thing on the back. I'm going to do the same thing for the back. I'm going to come out by 0.75 from this top here. Come out by 0.75 here. And then I'm going to ignore this, and then here, this point here, I'm going to come in by 0.25, okay? Just 0.25, which is here, right? Now what we did, we created a curve from here to this point, and then that's what we did for here. We created a curve, and then we found our way to the under of this place. I'll be doing the same thing. I'll create the curve, the dots. I'll go through with the dots and go through this top here, okay? I'll go through this top here, okay? I am going to pass through here, but I'll ignore this and then find my way here, okay? So I'll continue my dots, I'll pass through here, and then I'm just going to find my way to the under of this place and then go like this. So let me connect so you guys see the final results, okay? So this is the sleeve pattern for my stretchy dress. Let me know in the comment section if you understood everything we just did, okay? Let me know. But this is the front and this is the back, and I'm going to cut it out without adding any allowance because this is a stretchy fabric. I don't need any allowance. I'm going to be probably sewing into my measurements on this, okay? And to be able to do the front and the back, I have an arc here, right? For the back, I'm just going to make 2 arcs. and that will indicate that this is my back. So I'm going to cut out this pattern. Please let me know if you understood what we did here. So this is the sleeve pattern. Very correct, very accurate. Let me fold it into two so you see what it's going to look like. So this is our middle line, of course, so I'm folding from that middle line. So when you're done, if you notice any mistake, just make sure you equalize it, okay? So this is it. I just did some adjustments, and you see the back poking out from here, you see the front, right? But here they have to be equal. Next, I will go ahead and place my pattern on a fabric and cut this out. So this is my sleeve pattern placed on the fabric, and I did not have to fold my fabric into two to cut my pattern, because remember how we drafted out the pattern, the front and the back is different on the cap side, the cap height and the bicep, okay? So it is different, and for that reason just lay it flat and cut like this. So this is what I have, and when I fold it into two, you're going to see that I have the front and the back side of my sleeve. Okay, this is it. One side is for the front and one side is for the back, and folded into two. This is what I have. I'm just going to sew in by 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch. I'm yet to know. So to know what I need to sew my sleeve by, I'm going to place my tape on the armhole of my dress, and I'll calculate what I have there. Now remember, when we're drafting out the pattern, we calculated and we got 7.75 inch. I'm sewing in my sleeves so that it fits the armhole. I'm going to sew 8 inches, okay? So I got 7.75, but I'll be sewing in 8 inches, and I have to do this by placing my tape on my sleeves and calculating and stopping at 8 inches. You'll use white chalk to indicate that point of 8 inches, and that is where I'm going to start sewing my sleeve in from, okay? So I'm going to be sewing this straight from this point down to the length of the sleeves, and that is it, okay? Very easy. Now if you understood how we created the pattern for the sleeves, and you understood how we placed it on the fabric and cut, and so girl, you're already perfect in making sleeves, okay? So just go ahead and like this video right now. Like this video right now, okay? If you got to this point and you're successful in making your sleeve, go ahead and like this video. So the next thing I'm going to do is cut out the excess I have on my sleeves. So nobody should bother about allowance, because what we're making is a bodycon and we're using a very stretchy fabric, okay? So if you're using a very stretchy fabric, do not bother about allowance. Just make sure that you sew into your measurement and you're still going to fit. So what I'm trying to do now is flip this to the right side so I can attach this to the armhole of my dress, okay? So here is my dress. I have done the other hand, and I'm going to show you guys how I do this one. So I'm going to place my sleeves like this. Make sure that the right side or the front side of your sleeve sits on the front side of your dress. I will repeat this again. Make sure that the front side of your sleeves sit on the front side of your dress, okay? And align the sewing you have on the sleeves and on your dress. Pass it through the neckline and start sewing, okay? So make sure that you don't make any mistake by sewing your back side to the front side of your sleeves, like the back side of your sleeve to the front side of your dress. Make sure you check this very well, confirm before you start sewing. And while I am sewing my sleeve to my dress, I'm going to be sewing this in by 1/2 inch. I always try to slow down while I explain, but I realize that I talk really fast, okay? I always say this in my video, so just make sure you look at exactly what I'm doing so you catch up, okay? My sleeves is attached to my dress, and you guys, the next thing we're going to be doing is creating the turtleneck for this dress, and we are done. Somebody say hallelujah. We are done, baby girl. We are done with this dress, okay? And we're going to move on to other awesome outfits. To make the turtleneck really simple, we quickly go ahead and measure our neckline, and to do this I'm going to fold my neck into two, my neckline like this, from the center front to the center back. I'm holding those 2 points and they are all folded into two. Okay, so aligning the shoulder seam, where I have my shoulder seam on the right and the left, I will align it, and I'm going to use my tape to calculate what I have from one point to the other point. And this measurement is what we're going to be using to cut the turtleneck. Okay, so you have to do this process, so you cut exactly what you have on your neckline. Okay, so you don't cut something lesser or something more. That me. So I got 10 inches, and I'm gonna take my outfit away from the table and bring in the fabric I'll be using for my neckline. This fabric is folded into two, so I had to join 2 fabrics to get this fold. Okay, and what I'm going to do is mark that 10 inches I got on my neckline on this fabric here. I'm going to mark it on the base and on the top, okay, because this is how long my turtleneck is going to be, although I'm going to fold the fabric into 2 after joining. So I'm going to be sewing a straight stitch here. I'll cut out the excess before I go sew. Really simple, okay? Make sure you fold the fabric that you're using into 2 and you're good. So I'll sew a straight stitch here. And what I'll do next is I'm going to fold this into 2 to get the turtleneck fold that I want on my neckline. So I'll fold it into 2. Just watch, very simple, okay? You cut out square of fabric, you sew it, well, make sure the fabric is folded into 2. You sew one end of it, and after sewing it, you just fold to get a round shape or a round, whatever you want to call this, and then align the stitches together, okay, and sew the edge of that particular turtleneck. I don't know what to call it, but yeah, I'm gonna call it turtleneck. Why I'm sewing the edge right now is the fact that when I'm joining this to my neckline, I don't want any part of it to move. Okay, I want it to really align. Okay, so that is why I'm doing that. And now I am done. I'll bring in my dress, and from the stitches I have on the sides, I am going to pin this to the neckline and then sew. Okay, I have a stitch there. I have a stitch here on this side. I'll pin using that stitch. So what is happening here is the fact that because I joined 2 fabric together to get the fold that I want for my neckline, I have 2 stitches on the sides of this particular turtleneck. So the 2 stitches is just going to represent the left hand and the right hand, and I'm just going to take one side and pin it to the left hand of my dress and the other side to the right hand of my dress. Okay, using my shoulder seam to do this. Okay, using my shoulder seam on the dress and also using the sides on the turtleneck. Okay, I'm just making sure I align the seams. Okay, so when I'm done joining, it will look like it's a continuation of the seam from the turtleneck straight to the shoulder. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So this is how it looks. I'll go ahead and start sewing. Okay, girl, this was how I created my third dress. Right now, I've been going out and I've been looking really nice, you know, from the first dress to the second dress, and I'm yet to wear the third dress out, but trust me, I'm going to be doing that soon. I'm going to be wearing this probably out on a probably family date or something, but yes, I want to wear this dress out. I have the perfect shoes for it. Okay, so and this is what I had at last once I was done. You can see that the seams align from the turtleneck to the shoulder seam, and this is me here with the after look. Please do not forget to like this video, and we're going to be moving on to the next outfit that I want to see in my wardrobe. Guess what is coming next? Guess. Let me know in the comment section what you think is coming next. And yes, I love you guys so much. Thank you for being patient with me, and thank you for watching this video, understanding it, you know. Thank you for engaging while you're watching. I love you guys so much. I'll be seeing you on my next video. Bye bye.